When you're a singing voice specialist, these are the things that you might use Cantaris for. First of all, it's measuring the vocal performance range. So in this example, we see the maximum performance someone is able to produce on a sustained vowel from lowest to highest tone. So this indicates the range, and from softest to loudest. So within this field, phonation or voice is possible. Now, this might tell you a lot about where someone's voice is situated, whether they fit more within a baritone or within a bass, for example, kind of tessitura. Now, another thing you might want to measure is what we would call a song range profile. So this is a song range profile for this tenor in this example. And the area that you see here is the area that their voice encompassed or their voice embodied in a certain sung piece. In this case, an aria. Now, I hacked this area up in 3 pieces. So this is a part of that. You can always select that sound and you can replay it again. And Cantaris will give you pitch and loudness measurements. So selecting a part of it will just give you exactly what pitch and what loudness and the spectrogram did on the moment they created that. And you might replay this so you can listen to it back together with your client. Now, you might want to do deeper analysis on this. So let's say that we want to measure the fundamental frequency. This is going to tell us something about pitch. Then we get a more detailed analysis of what pitch did, in this case in the vibrato, in this sung piece. These are all details, let's say. So let's get back to the bigger picture. This is the song range profile. So this is what their voice encompassed within singing the aria. I can see the vocal ring, which means how much 3000 hertz activity there was in the voice, how much resonance there was in the voice. I can see quality, which relates more to how good the vocal folds closed. And I can overlay that with the vocal performance range. Now, this is one of the most important features, I think, because in this diagram we can see whether the sung piece fits inside their total vocal performance. And in this case, it fits quite nicely. Now, this means that, first of all, you might ask your client, okay, how big is your voice? To which the answer is the blue field. And then you might ask, how do you use your voice when singing this certain piece, for example? And the yellow field is the answer to that. Now, how they relate to each other is going to give you a lot of information, whether they're using their voice correctly, whether it is a piece that fits their voice, whether you need to transpose a piece maybe, and you can always save that and listen back to it. Now, the last thing that you might really like as a singing voice specialist is what we would call a speech range profile. You may not coach speaking voice at all, maybe, but it might be important to let's say, have the diagnostics of it. Now, a speech range profile is how much of this area someone encompasses with their voice when they're speaking softly, and when they're speaking loudly. And this is the N for normal, S for soft, and L for loud speaking voice area. Now, this seems to be quite a normal speaking voice area, with which I mean it fits within the vocal performance range. It's quite steeply aligned, so it's going upward, which means they're able to produce loudness, and they might be able to produce loudness with a healthy technique. And what you might see in some singers is that they don't use their speaking voice as efficient or as healthy as their singing voice. And of course, they're oftentimes speaking a lot more than they're singing, so some singing voice problems occur because of a speaking voice problem. And you might diagnose that right here. So these are things that you would really like as a singing voice specialist. Of course, you might always get an acoustic voice quality index or get a dysphonia severity index from your from your client, that's always possible. And you might always get some deeper analysis like spectrograms or pitch or loudness contours. So you can try Cantaris for free for about a week, and you can always just let me know what kind of questions you have about that. So have fun with it.